Is masculinity a performance or a prison?
Is masculinity a performance or a prison?
Because think about it. All these conversations on the internet, things men can't do, men shouldn't do, and this and that. So is masculinity a performance or is it a prison? Like, are we in prison based on how we got to be as men with our masculinity, or is it a performance we putting on when we being masculine and being, just a thought-provoking question I wanted to ask.
I think it's
because think about Thug Box when we did Thug Box.
That was funny. Being a thug,
being a man, sometimes you feel like you're in a box. Yeah, definitely a prison.
Prison is where they go. I believe it's wherever your mindset is. I believe it's wherever your mindset is, because if you read and understand the depths of being a man, and if you, I know we are believers of God, and even some teaching in the Bible or whatever that thing is, it's like, if you believe, they show vulnerability throughout the Bible. They show men who cry, men who get weak, men who are strong, men who fail, men who conquer. Like, there's a book called "The Man That the Moment Demands" by Jason. It's Jason. He's a black guy. I have to get his last name, but if you search the book, you'll see. But in the book, he describes that. So a lot of times he was like, women carry emotions like a box of like the 64 box of cream. It's like it's a wide range of emotions, and so they won't just have purple. They'll have lilac. They'll have violet. They'll have all these different lavender. All these things, and men, a lot of times we stifle ourselves and just have 8. It will just be like red, green, purple, blue. When we got to understand that we have a multitude of feelings and a multitude of things. And I think what happens is, growing up, they take away your crayon box, so to speak, and be like, hey, you got these 8 to work with. And if you go outside of that, I don't know, dog, that ain't masculine. You know what I'm saying? And I don't think that's fair. I believe we are human beings. Like, we enter this world with so many. We get traumas, you get wins, you get losses, like you cry, like you get mad, like, and I don't like, what are these things that, like, I can't go to brunch with my homies, like, cause that's insane. I think that's an internet thing.
That's feminine. What you doing not working in the middle of the day?
I can't.
That's what they're saying.
Like, I can't have did a good job and go celebrate with my boys.
Why you want to rule over other men? Why you want to own other men? That's what they say. That's feminine.
That was close.
So if you heard that, that's a fighter jet, because right now in Seattle is Seafair. Yeah. So they have this thing where the fighter jets put on shows and stuff. So that's them heading to that lake they need to go to. So surprised we didn't hear more, but if you heard that, that's what that was. Yeah,
don't be alarmed. But yeah, I think it's depend on your mindset. I think it could be freeing if you understand who you are as a man and go from there. I think some people be like, masculinity doesn't exist. I was like, no, I think it's something. There's something to being feminine and masculine. We carry both things. When we read The Way of the Superior Man, you have the feminine, you have the masculine. Like, another good example in that same book, he was talking about if he said, if a fire break out right here, where he was talking on this podcast, he's like, if a fire breaks out, he said, I need that fireman to come in his masculine. I need him to come in, like, get me out of here, like, save me. He said, but when he go home to his family, he probably don't need to go in there like that. He might have a daughter and a wife, you know what I'm saying? He might need to be in his feminine a little bit more open and available and emotional. I'm like, yeah, I mean, it's really just knowing how to, like, go through the different, like, areas of who you are as a man and not be afraid of it.
But sometimes I feel like I agree with everything you're saying, and I'm on your side, but sometimes it can be a prison. So think of it like this. When you're a young boy, you're a kid, a toddler, you crying, what your dad tell you? What's up with all that crying? You a man. You a man or a mouse. And most of them times in them situations, you want a mouse, because I want to cry. I'm upset.
I want to get these tears off.
They say you a man. You a man. Boys don't cry. That's preached to every boy when they're young. Yeah. And then the mama come around, let the boy cry, this and that. It's okay, this and that. All the women like, let him cry. Stop saying that. But then once the man is a grown man, you ask a woman, would you like your man to cry as much as you cry?
Mm-hmm.
No, I don't want no man that be crying and this and that. Like, so why did you preach to that little boy to cry if you know when he grow up you don't want that man to cry?
Mm-hmm.
That's where the prison side of it come on, and that's what.
But that's not your own prison. That's
I know. Yeah. I'm saying that's the societal pressures that they put on men, and of course it's not. It's bigger things in life. But I'll just give an example how sometimes that masculinity is a prison, because like that's why men grow up and don't be crying, because they hear all day life when they young, men don't cry. Mm-hmm. Be a man, don't cry, and we just close in after that.
And you need to. I feel like you.
And then when you, my bad, you hear women say they don't want no man to cry.
And it's
what
like,
are you supposed to do?
And then a lot of men feel like it gets weaponized against them. If they do show their emotions, now the girl like, well, why you do it? And you like, but you told me that I'm trying to open up. So it's a delicate balance. That's why you just got to be, hopefully you be with somebody who truly understands you and your character, and that sometimes you're going to cry, sometimes you're going to have the answers, sometimes you're not going to have the answers. I think teaching young boys to be able to walk through their emotions, like recognize, like, if you angry and you want to cry, that's cool. I think call it out. I'm angry. I don't feel good about this. So you can move through it. Because what happens is you in the middle of crying, being angry, I stifle it and I say, stop that. You ain't never really get it off you. You ain't get it off your chest. And now are you mad at your dad 15 years later? Like, well, because you remember that one time I never got to tell you how. Like, that's a lot. That's why you see grown men break down. Like, you know, maybe they went to jail and they break down crying because all that pain come out. Because, like, bro, it's okay.
Most of the stuff I watch where it be like severe trauma, people go down the wrong path, always come back to childhood. Like, if you watch any of these crime docs and they break down the killer, always go back to childhood traumas.
It's like you got
always
it got to be some action in there. Like, you got to show them how to move through that. Like, show them how. Even as a grown man now, like, I think a lot of men in relationships, I think instead of saying, like, what I've learned, instead of being like, oh man, you just tripping, or like, oh, you know, I'm all right, or whatever like that. I think you got to say how you feel. Like, you know what, I feel neglected. I feel tired. I feel broken down. I'm not doing well. Instead of, oh, you know, or with the girl, like, oh, you tripping. Like, nah, like, you hurt. You hurt. Like, say, hey, you hurt my feelings. That don't mean you not less of a man. Like, no, it hurt my feelings. We can move past it. We can talk about it. But yeah, it kind of hurt a little bit. It's kind of, you know, but I just think the internet just hypes everything a little bit more, and it makes it way worse than it need to be, for sure. So, but that's a great question though. So, get out that prison if you're in that prison.
Get out that box.
Get out that box.